There have always been concerns following Chelsea that their talented academy players have few chances to secure first-team football. And yet, it was a previously unknown commodity, Trevoh Chalobah, who started 2021 and 2022 as a first-team regular, and who has remained in Tuchel's starting 11 and continued to improve prior to a recent injury. Featuring most consistently as the right-sided central defender in their back three from behind Reece James and further forwards Mason Mount, he may even contribute to a long-term right-sided triumvirate, all produced by Chelsea's prolific academy youth system. The right-footed defender is a versatile player who is proven as both a central defender and defensive midfielder. When defending as an individual, he presses effectively with aggression before slowing down as he approaches his opponent, and regularly succeeds in preventing opponents from turning when they receive the ball, even if they are physically imposing. Complementing that aggression, when defending from behind, he is also effective at reaching for the ball without conceding many fouls, and largely because his upper body strength means he can push across opponents and towards the ball, or dispossess them from either side. It is when opponents attempts to beat him on his right that he is particularly capable, and when defending with his left foot he is a bit less consistent. For all of his aggressive instincts, Chalobah rarely moves fully ahead of his opponent, which means fewer interceptions being made than would otherwise be the case. He favors applying pressure from behind or to the side of his opponent and dueling both in the air, where he is similarly aggressive but a bit less successful. He's also excellent at reading what's unfolding around him, one of the best things that you can do as a defender, and therefore adapts his body shape to provide cover in behind and to protect the angles for his teammates that are defending behind him. He's especially adept at quickly shifting his hips to spin and sprint to recover. That ability to provide defensive cover when tracking opponents also extends to those making runs in behind, when he can cover the fullback or the wingback alongside him against those making runs in behind to receive in wide territory. When the ball is at his feet, Chalobah is similarly impressive. He regularly succeeds in switching play towards the other side of the pitch, targeting the spaces in behind for those making forward runs and playing into the feet of others. He strikes across the ball with power and in a way that the ball slowly drops into the path of runners to encourage them to continue to perpetuate forwards. Should he be under pressure, he favors allowing the ball to move across his body and then playing the forward pass with whip. Doing so complements those moving in behind and those attempting to receive in more withdrawn positions. This season so far under Tuchel, Chalobah has most consistently featured as the right-sided central defender in Chelsea's back three. When he advances to press from the right, he uses the touchline, which is a great skill from a defender, and he particularly favors doing so when transitioning into defensive phases, whereas against attacks towards the opposite side of the pitch, he aggressively presses into the central midfield, where his experience as a defensive midfielder proves very valuable in him reading the game and covering and blocking counters. Chelsea's right-sided wingback, most commonly Reece James, is so often in an advanced position that it requires Chalobah to be particularly influential in his defensive skill set. The cover and pressure he contributes against opponents attempting to counter after losses of possession, and his ability to delay and slow those attacks to the extent that his teammates can recover their defensive positions or press the ball from behind, has been admirably consistent since his promotion to Chelsea's first 11. Since the team mostly defends in a 5-3-2 or 5-2-3, space for opponents to attack into is therefore likeliest to exist in the wide territories, increasing the demand on Chalobah to press through the right inside channel, where they so often seek to trap the ball and stop advancement into the offensive third. The reality of their shape means he is also regularly forced to defend against attacks in behind and to provide cover from behind Reece James, where he defends as effectively as he does when more central. And in these central positions is where his versatility in adapting to the opposition's movements proves so valuable. He demonstrates aggression when making regains and then discipline to force possession away from the goal. When Chalobah is the player in possession, his long-range passes from the defensive third most consistently target their number 10s making forward runs through the inside channels. With the opposing fullback usually pressing Reece James, there's increased space for Mason Mount, Timo Werner, and others to make runs in behind and stretch their opposing central defenders, and Chalobah considers the speed and angle of pass and the characteristics of the target of his pass before delivering it. He recognizes that players like Werner and Christian Pulisic are among those who prefer to receive on the move, and that players like Mason Mount and Hakim Ziyech, in contrast, favor passes into their feet. Chalobah's bending forward passes have reached Romelu Lukaku when he is occupying opposing central defenders before linking into those making more forward runs. Chalobah's shorter ranger passes are mostly played into Chelsea's defensive midfielders and via the right inside channel. He seeks to support from behind the ball when it's in the midfield and detects when it's preferable for him to retreat to increase the space that exists there. His passes, regardless, are rarely penetrative. He is likelier to combine and play into his closest teammate, whether that be the wingback outside of him or the central defender to his left. Trevoh has put in some incredible performances this season, and he seems to have way more strengths than weaknesses. We're all excited to watch him continue to develop in this role as the right-sided center back in Tuchel's 5-2-3 system.